Oh shit!
God damn it! Oh my god! Keep running! Keep running!
Run, 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 run.
Go 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 go!
God, this smells like shit.
Guys, keep running! Keep running!
Look,
Go go
we'll
go
be fine.
go
We can
go!
make it to
I
that
can
shit. Get there,
smell it
get there.
from
Go, go, go.
here.
Go 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 go!
I'm running.
Okay, slam the door, slam the door. Guy,
Everyone,
grab that
everyone,
chair,
go,
grab
go,
that
go,
chair.
go.
Barricade the door. Liam, help me with this table.
I'm going! I'm going!
Thank God.
I got the chair.
They almost got us there. That was pretty close.
Jesus, one of Smash players has been so athletic.
Oh, I definitely.
This is what happens
really
when
get
you
run that
call all
fast.
their mains lame guy.
Sorry, I didn't think they would go zombie on us if we called them lame. But then again, that is what happens when you go on Smash Twitter, isn't it?
I think I can just smell the lack of deodorant in that sentence.
Ah, well, look right here, guys. At least there's a table, 4 decent mics, and a recording software in here. So convenient.
Yeah, you know what?
Guys, that's really
Yeah,
convenient.
while they're clawing at the door, trying to kill us and take away our deodorant to throw into the pits of hell,
Yeah.
how about we just talk about some horror
Here's the
games
thing.
to escape from the
We'll
infectious fright for a bit?
yeah, and we'll be able to tell when they're gone when we can't smell sweat and drool.
I think the jewels are just from the Min Min and Yoshi players.
You're so right, guys. We could record an episode.
Great idea. I was gonna say
All
from the
right.
Sonic players, but that works too. But yeah, how about we talk about our horror games, part 2?
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fetch Quest podcast, where we talk about video games and more. I am your host, Guy Thomas, followed up with my other co-host, Connor, Brewer, and Liam.
Hello.
Hey everybody.
And if you couldn't tell by the little intro sequence we just did, we're doing a part 2 for horror games. Yay!
Yeah, part 2 of the Infectious Fright. You guys absolutely love that video. It's one of our most successful vids. And because it's spooky month, it's time for the season. So let's get started with some of our favorite horror games.
Yeah, baby.
Let's talk about what
we're
makes them
back.
great.
We're back. And I think something we need to note about part 2 of this is that we have Liam and Connor on for this one, so we're definitely going to have some different takes and opinions on horror games and some different perspectives.
I will tell you
I think it's gonna be
right
really fun.
now, I play a
Yeah.
lot of horror games.
Yeah, Liam likes pissing himself, so playing horror games is perfect for him.
No, I just have balls.
Yeah, Connor, unlike you, I'm playing a horror game right
also
now,
likes-
and I'm pissing
He
myself.
also likes pissing himself.
That's true.
He likes pissing himself.
Fellow pisseteers here.
The scariest thing for me right now is when I lose neutral once to a fucking Zangief and they critical art me, so that is pretty scary.
Guy, shut up. You're gonna attract the Street Fighter players now,
No,
on top
Guy,
of the Smash players.
If you say one more thing where you might have to throw you out, you're starting to smell a bit there. Did you pack deodorant?
I did, yes. I promise Joker players have
nope.
some hygiene.
No spreading the infectious fright, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
I have the vaccine,
guys.
the deodorant.
Guy's the one character in every zombie thing that gets like bitten.
And it
Yeah,
tries to
doesn't
cover it
tell
up.
anybody.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But you know, let's get started with our topic: horror games. We talked about them before. Let's go over what they are again. They're a pretty simple concept. Everyone kind of understands. You play them to get scared. That's what it is at a
Piss
base
your
level. But
pants
there are
simulator.
many different ways that you can go about making a horror game.
And
Yeah, there's
I'm
also
sure
many
a
different
bunch
ways to
of-
convey the horror.
And I'm sure a psychology expert could go into the deep reasons why humans love to be scared and why that is such a prominent genre of media. But we're not going to talk about that. So we're going to talk
We're
about
not boring.
why we like. Yeah, we're going to talk about why we like pissing ourselves when we play games.
Well, I mean, no, we can kind of talk about that a little bit because, like, I mean, you're right in saying that, like, a very big consistent thing with humans in general is that we love to be scared and like have thrills. Like,
I mean, that's why we love roller coasters.
Dopamine.
exactly. Not just
It-
that, but it's also like with horror movies, like because people like will see them like when they're bored on a Saturday night. there's so many companies that try to shill out these shitty horror movies to try and like get some bank on like teenagers who are trying to like get scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, personally, part of the reason I love talking about horror video games is because with horror in general, video games are about the only one that can actually like make me feel even like a bit scared or chilled. Because like I'll go to in-person stuff, won't really scare me. If anything, I'll kind of laugh. I'll go to a movie. There's been maybe one good horror movie I could think of off the top of my head that's actually kind of been, I think, good. And then like books, it's been alright. Some graphic novels are good. But video games though, I think it's the perfect genre for horror games because it actually places you in the shoes of the character. Because like with the movie, you just look at it, you watch it, but you're not really there. And like in-person stuff, I mean,
I understand that viewpoint. Personally, one of the I'm not gonna go on this too far because it isn't video game related. One of the things that scares me the most, I'm not a huge horror fan, but for some reason I absolutely love analog horror. I don't know why.
There's no
Listen.
way.
No,
No,
I'm
you
laughing
can-
because it's also a great form of horror. Like as much as
Exactly.
people don't want to admit it, it's a great form.
Exactly. Analog horror is like terrifying to me. Like people can clown on it for like super loud jump scares and stuff like that, but if you find like genuinely good analog horror stuff, it is like terrifying.
Yeah, if you get rid
I
of
think
all
the
of the
reason-
back rooms, all that stuff,
Yeah.
there's really good stuff out there. It's just
you have
it's all been boiled down to back rooms.
Yeah, and it's not that like you can have any genre. Like the thing is with analog horror, you can put anything in it, and as long as you do it well, it'll be scary.
well, I think the concepts have done a really good job for games too, because like all the backroom games that have been spawned from like that idea have been really interesting. And like I said, they put you in like the feet of character. You're in this like endless maze, so it's just really confusing. It helps like bring the concept to life.
I have a story to tell. And it's going back to your point, Brewer, like how video games are like one of the only few things that kind of like get you invested and scared. One time I went on a school field trip to Charleston, and this was around Halloween time. So we the school like decided, hey, we're gonna go to a haunted house, and I went with my friend group and everything, and I was so not afraid of anything. I literally went up to one of the people who were dressed up as like it's like a like a scary thing, and I started doing fucking Orange Justice from Fortnite on him.
That's pretty funny.
That is the most on-brand thing I can think of for you, guy. You would be the one to do that.
That's quite disgusting.
Well, the actor that's like playing Jason just looks at you confused, thinking, "Why is this grown man dancing like a 13-year-old?"
Bro was probably thinking, I get paid minimum wage for this shit.
So true.
Yeah,
That's what his
BA
BA landed him. That's the job he got.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think let's get into the horror games though. How about we like look at some of the elements that make a horror game? What do you guys think?
I think the best thing Liam is obviously the expert here because he's the only one of us that has balls.
What do you mean? I'm literally playing a horror game right now.
I am too.
Well.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm also.
You don't have balls.
Wait, you're not playing
The
a
rest of us
horror
do.
game. You're playing The Lies of P.
No, I'm
Horror
not.
adjacent.
That's very not horror adjacent.
Actual nerd emoji. moment
Bloodborne
right
2.
That doesn't count.
it's horror adjacent, so it counts.
Yeah. Either
Shut up,
way,
Rosie.
Connor, everyone else here has balls, but Liam, since you have bigger balls,
Yeah.
Yes,
I
I will.
I
was just
I
gonna.
want to talk.
add before Liam.
Yeah, yeah.
started talking,
You
'cause I
you
wanted
go
to-
you go for before me because when I start talking, everyone's gonna piss their pants.
Oh, you don't threaten me with a good time, Liam.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll go first then, because just hearing from that from you will make us scared. So I want to go into like the sound design of like horror games, because I think like the music, or maybe lack of music, it replaced with instead like sound effects, can make a really good horror game. Since like
Yeah,
the
that's
one
something we actually touched on. You first. Sorry.
oh yeah, that in the original episode that is something we touched on, but the one that I think I've been playing around that's done a really good job at it is called a Yomawari, which has a couple of different games. It's a series, but generally the character is ex- is in this small little town, and for some reason at night they all the spirits want to just fucking kill them for some reason. And I mean,
It's
like,
like FNAF.
yeah, we don't know why, because these are like little girls. They're like elementary school, or like a little boy in the third one. So they just have really shit luck for like 10-year-olds, but everything wants to kill them. So usually you got to find some in the game. That's your goal. And while you're exploring the town, you got your flashlight, a couple other things you pick up, and you gotta avoid the spirits, because if you even like brush up against them, they will just murk you. And what I love with the game is the atmosphere it builds, because like I was saying with the sound design, every time you take a step, you can hear the little footsteps. In the small town you're in, it's like summertime. You can hear the crickets chirping. You can just hear a gust of wind in the background, and then you may hear what's potentially an enemy coming at you as well, or just in the distance. So it does a really good job of just keeping you on edge, because all the little noises are building up. And then to put it on top of that, once you get close enough to an enemy, you start hearing like dunk 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 dunk, and that's your heartbeat. So anytime you're getting closer, you feel that heartbeat going. Controller's vibrating. You're probably vibrating a little because you don't want to die. The save point was far back. But holy shit, it keeps getting louder, louder, and louder until the enemy's there, and you got to find some way to avoid it. So I think it does a really good job with building the atmosphere with sound.
Yeah, I agree with Brewer that atmosphere is one of the best. Like, you need a good atmosphere, in my opinion, in order to make a good horror game. Because if you have a bad atmosphere, it's not going to work as well.
I think that
So,
atmosphere's got to match the gameplay is the most important thing.
exactly.
Yeah, cause
And
like, yeah, cause like the thing is, you can kind of have like a. How do I put this? You can kind of. I think gameplay and atmosphere need to be like one and the same, because you need to actively have the player pace out their gameplay so that they can have an equal amount of like downtime and scares, but also like that atmosphere is equally as important as setting up that pacing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think with the gameplay, an important aspect of it is like how your character feels throughout it. Since like one thing I noticed with a lot of them is they make you feel powerless. Like in the Yomawari games, you usually play a small child. A small child does not usually have a lot of power in them, unless they're in an anime or something. I don't know. But you're a small child, and these like gigantic monsters want to fucking murder you. So that's one way to feel powerless. Or like in PT, you're just walking through the same little place every time, and all this weird shit's happening. There's nothing you can do. You can't run. You can't escape it. All you can do is just kind of sit there and watch.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, big agree with Brewer here. If you, a lot of the horror, I think in horror games doesn't work if you have a bad atmosphere, because without a good atmosphere, you have no sense of dread, and dread is by far one of the most important parts of horror, in my opinion.
Oh,
And
for
so
sure.
I really quickly want to touch on a game that has a very bad horror atmosphere because it's just too complex and complicated to the point where it's ludicrous. And that would be the full release for the Hello Neighbor games. And
Oh my god, not.
Oh
Oh
no.
god.
Oh
Oh
no.
no.
that
No.
yeah, that game, the prototype, surprisingly, was the best version of the game. Because for those of you who don't know, who weren't around in that time when Hello Neighbor was as big as it got, they initially released a prototype, and it was okay. It definitely had potential. It was a home invasion sort of game where your neighbor is like a sort of creepy dude, and he looks like he's hiding stuff. And so your whole point of the game was to break into his house, and then you had to like go
Without him
through a
finding
bunch.
you.
Yeah, without him finding you, you had to go through a bunch of puzzles and stuff like that in order to get into his basement.
Well, I
And
think what
then,
didn't help with that as well is like some of what felt like kind of empty promises. Like one of them
yeah,
that I remember was like how the neighbor would learn your patterns and what you're actually doing throughout the game. And if you try to do that again, would murk you, which is really good on paper because like that's been pulled up really well. Like the Alien games have done that. If you die, like let's say you hide in a locker and it finds you, you can like hide under a table next time, and the thing will go start methodically going through every locker, and you can be like, "Holy shit, this thing's gonna kill me."
yeah. The another thing with that is that in that game, if you use like the same distraction over time, the alien just will ignore that like noise and stuff like that because it knows you're just trying to lure it away so you can get out, and it's like really cool. But the reason why Hello Neighbor is not a good horror game is because the in the full release, the house is no longer a house. It literally looks like if you took a bunch of assets from like some kind of like free asset thing and then just like Tears of the Kingdom fused them to a building. That's what it looks like. And so it looks so cartoonishly like complicated that it takes out all the scares out of it, and that's really bad because the neighbor himself is not physically scary. He's just a middle-aged sort of chubby man, and that's not super scary. So
Yeah, I
the
mean,
atmosphere was very
he's a little
the atmosphere
bigger
was
than
very much
you
needed.
because like another technique they can imply a lot of or employ a lot of times is just like making you feel like a lot smaller than the enemy. Because I mean, like a natural fear anyone just has, like you're getting into a fight with someone. If the dude's like a foot or two taller than you, naturally you're not gonna be as confident. So
Yeah,
in games, if you go against a 10-foot monster, yeah, that may be pretty scary.
well, I
I kind
do
of want
think
to.
some.
I
What
kind of
is it,
want to
guy?
transition this to a certain game that I find to be super appealing and fun that fits all that criteria of being bigger and imposing is Alien Isolation.
Oh yeah, that's what we just
Oh,
mentioned, Alien games.
yeah, we just mentioned
Yeah,
that.
so
Or did
if
you
y'all get to
specifically
know
want
me
to talk
long
about
enough,
Isolation?
yeah, Isolation because that's the actual horror game because the rest of them are just shitty action games.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I was mainly wanting to mention, like, I think I was talking about Isolation, where it will like track what you do. So like if you hide in the lockers, it'll check the lockers the next time. That type of stuff.
Yeah, so that game does a really good job of making you try new things in terms of avoiding the alien because the AI is designed to learn what you do and it will adapt to it. So like let's say you try to scare it off with a flamethrower. If you use a flamethrower too much, it'll only partially affect it the next time and then eventually it'll just be like kind of immune to it and know how to avoid it, which
Yeah, I
is
mean,
fucking insane.
yeah, that's what we mentioned.
Yeah, and it's like the game really builds atmosphere in terms of like you need to hide from something that's much more powerful than you and much scarier. than anything else around you. That really, like, in comparison for Hello Neighbor and Alien Isolation, if you want like a text point like idea of like how to like make a scary imposing threat that is constantly chasing you, I think Alien Isolation should be the positive example, and then Hello Neighbor being the negative example, because
Yeah,
Hello
what
Neighbor has so many problems.
I think those aren't examples of atmosphere. That's more so like enemy design, which is another very important asset. I think the
Oh yeah, that's a
atmosphere
big
would
one.
more so be like the locations and like I was saying, the sound design around it. Like you walking, the little puddle you step in, making some sounds. Just usually a lot of horror games make it very dark, which I mean, I guess kind of a trope, but like maybe a good one, just because a lot of people have natural fear of the dark. Because again, you never know what's in there, and especially in a game where you can make anything you want. Yeah, the dark's gonna start being a lot more scary.
All
Oh yeah,
right,
for sure.
I'm gonna segue off of this. The reason that, well, the reason that horror games should be scary is because of the omission of information. When you play a
Oh yeah,
horror game, when the less that you know, the more scared you are gonna be, because all humans, and whether they think they do or not, have have a natural fear of the unknown. We all do. So
Exactly. I
in a
was.
game where, like, a good example of a horror game is Outlast, where the entire game you have little clue why you're there, what you're doing. You are in a very unfamiliar place, but the big thing is you are in the dark, and the only way to see is through your camera, because your camera has a night vision lens. It has a night vision lens, so you have to have batteries, to find batteries to look in this dark area, and the admission of visuals, like the omission of sight, is the big driver of the horror aspect of that game. Or like,
well,
um,
I want to say, Liam, you were preaching, but I think just like to with the games, since you are in control and it's not the movie that will force itself to go through, you have to be the one to keep taking those steps to get through the game. Like in Yomawari,
Oh
whenever I want
yeah.
to get through the game, even though I know a lot of enemies are going to be trying to kill me, and I'm going to have to be creeping through, I also want to like avoid dying. I'm also just like trying to be ready for anything they throw at me, because like even without jump scares, horror games can be like fucking terrifying
oh,
at times.
this is just a personal opinion. I think jump scares are extremely boring.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I
it's
don't
Yeah,
like
they
jump
are. No,
scares
what's
much.
just are.
Okay,
what's scary.
this.
Wait, let me finish first, please,
Let
please.
him cook, Connor.
Yes.
Let
What
him
is
cook on her.
scary is, for a jump scare to be a good jump scare, is the build up. The build up to that jump scare is what makes a jump scare scary. But a lot of games, there can be good jump scares. There can be, but a lot of games, the build up is the guy slowly walking towards you, and then the camera shifts to show his face. He jumps at you, and then boom, you're dead, and it has a
Well,
start over
well,
screen.
I think too, like with a good jump scare, like one of them I experienced in Yomawari is like betrayal of expectations. Because in horror, like you said, fear of the unknown is a big aspect. So betraying what you think what would happen can be a really good way to scare the player. Since I was going through the game, and generally, if an enemy is chasing me, I would pause, just like get my surroundings and stuff, try to figure out a game plan, and that would help because I would always be safe. But one of the times I picked up a key item when some crazy stuff was happening, I went into my menu. I was like, okay, what is this? And the character was reading it off. And then the motherfucker pulled down the menu screen and then started chasing me. I
That's
was like,
pretty.
holy shit.
That's pretty sick.
So
That's
one
fucking
of
awesome.
I
Yeah,
think a
great
great
game.
example of a jump scare. Well, yeah, I guess a jump scare. It's the closest thing the game has to a jump scare since it's based. But the game, I'm sure a few people know of it. It's called Garden of Ban 2.
Connor,
Oh my
it's
god.
scary how you're bringing that up.
Yeah, we
And also
Because
you
it's so
also
good.
remember your
we have to
also
save
also
ourselves.
Connor, did you have to say two? Guy is scared of the number two. This
Exactly.
is already
That's what I'm.
this is already a scary like episode. If there's 22
Exactly.
Smash players outside, guy just may shit his pants. That's two number
Well,
twos.
that's the point. Because in Garden of Banban 2, there's this moment where you're reading a note, and then it, as you're reading it, the guy hits you in the head, and then some of the best voice acting on like I have ever heard. It like it's the closest thing to a jump scare because the game's based, as I said, and so it doesn't have a lot of jump scares because it's awesome like that.
Yeah, I think having a lack of jump scares can help because I do hate to mention this one as well because I keep bringing up Yomawari, but it's so damn good. But also with
Yeah.
any horror games, like P was saying, lack of knowledge does help. So I do hate to spoil these little bits, but the rest of the game is good. Do trust me. So I want to do this as a hook. During the tutorial section for, I'm just gonna say one of the games to not spoil which one, but during one of them, it's teaching you how to use items, right? So during like the rest of the tutorial, you're walking around running pretty basic stuff, and then it tells you throw an item. It's like, okay, seems pretty simple. Press this button, you throw it out. A truck comes out and fucking kills you out of nowhere. Like the timing is perfect. You throw the rock, and it's like boom. So that portrayal of expectations for like me to be safe and like a tutorial, that made a really good jump scare.
Yeah, that actually sounds pretty sick, actually.
Yeah.
What's this game on? Because like you bring it up a lot, and it's intriguing me a little bit.
I'd say go on Switch. That's the best way you can find it. Probably digital. The first two games are sold in a collection. So Yomawari Midnight Alone, or not Midnight Night Alone, and then Yomawari Midnight Shadows, and then the newest one, Yomawari Lost in the Dark, is sold separately. But yeah, all of them are on Switch. To my knowledge, I'm pretty sure all of them are on PS4. Just they don't also have that convenient collection, so you may pay a little more, but it's still really good. And then I'm pretty sure it's also on Steam. So please play those games. They're very underrated, and they're so good at like actually scaring you. They're really good horror games.
Yeah, to quickly just close off my point, please play the Garden of Banban games. They're really
Connor, die.
good. They're
No,
overhated.
They're not. They're
They're
not.
overhated. Guy, you can't even say anything because you haven't played those masterpieces
Connor, Choo Choo
of
Charles
gaming.
showed up in like the most recent chapter. That is not a good game.
It's a great game, okay? And you shouldn't be
No-
spoiling it
No
for Guy.
spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
anyway,
God.
let's
No
move
spoilers.
away from
established
this
you can
because
spoil
we have
something
to.
when it's bad.
We have to.
No,
we have
you
to,
cannot.
We need to
Or
move
when it's like
on
20
from
years old.
Garden
I'm
of
looking at you,
Banban. I'm
Sephiroth.
sorry, Connor, but we have to save ourselves for the Garden of Banban
No, I'm sorry.
episode.
I cannot help but talk about my
Now,
favorite game.
this is
series.
something
Hold
I
on,
want to
Liam,
segue
Liam
into.
is spitting. Liam is spitting right now.
I want to go into something that I think horror games, a lot of them have really great stuff of, which is story. I think horror game stories can be really great, especially when they're done in really well ways. A great example of this, Iron Lung, another good example, Silent Hill 2. Like, you have good examples of games. Like, these games, the main pull of the game is not the horror, but the storytelling that the horror just amplifies. So, for Iron Lung, the entire game, literally the entire game, takes place in one room. You are in a submarine.
So it's kind of
And-
like PT.
Not as much PT, because PT is more like an entire, just like a house.
Yeah, but it's still like down that one little.
No. When I say one
corner.
room, I mean it is like a box. You are in one box. There's nothing
Okay, so
outside.
like a submarine.
Yes, you are
Yeah,
in one room. It is
you
a
have,
tiny
like-
little submarine.
You
You
have
can-
like 3 POVs the entire game because you have like one look for the camera, you have one look for your directions, and then one look to like do some other stuff, which I
So
won't spoil.
the entire part of that game. You are in a confined space on an unfamiliar area. I can't say too much because it's a great game that is just great, but the entire sea, like, is just blood. It is a blood sea, literally, and you have no idea why when you first start on. You are just thrown into it. It's the atmosphere of that game is extremely scary, but what's great about that game is the information that you're given throughout the pace of the game that tells you the story of why you're here, where you are, what's going on, what's happening. And I think that horror games can have some of like the most interesting stories or the worst ones.
Yeah, they're definitely a
Yeah,
mixed
big
bag.
agree.
One
There
thing I do
are
want to
some
note that's
big
interesting with your
stinkers.
Iron Lung is that compared to like majority of other horror games, because I feel like I wouldn't be wrong in saying majority of horror games, they force the player to like explore some area, like maybe a mansion, maybe a small town, maybe various different locations. Either way, I feel like they force you to try to explore. But Iron Lung, I feel like that does a good job. Like it keeps you in one location, so you got nowhere to run. Whatever comes at you, you gotta just be able to deal with it.
Yeah, see, a good
Yeah.
part of horror games is has to do with like location. I think, like one of I'm gonna go back to Outlast. The reason that Outlast is such a good horror game is because it takes what's supposed to be. I mean, a lot of people find it scary, but it puts you in a mental hospital and it throws you in there. And it is one that has gone, that they're just all running amok. None of the prisoners are in the prisons, and you are there alone, no lifeline, nothing, just with a mission. And that mission is the only thing driving the character slash you through the entire game. You are, and it's not even a good mission. It's a terrible mission. You are a reporter trying to find the truth. Like, if it was a normal person, they would never go to the length that this guy went to in the game. But since it's a player character, you have to basically trick your mind into thinking that this is all worth it because it's the game. And so you start to sympathize with this character and all the trouble he is going through. And then the end of the game comes and you're like, what did I just witness? What is this? And it's a great game. I think it's an amazing horror start to it. Like,
That's
if you
awesome.
want to get into horror games, Outlast is a great start.
One thing to note with getting into Outlast, right now on PSN, it is the Outlast Trinity is $5.89, so pretty cheap to get into.
Hey, yo, Steel.
Yeah,
Just saying.
But one thing I want to mention is, like you were saying, questioning yourself. I want to go on one of the OGs that really made you question yourself, not just like as the player character, but like also made you yourself question yourself. And that's like Eternal Darkness, because that game was really ahead of its time for when it came to horror, because it would do a lot of stuff to scare you to player by like breaking the fourth wall. Like it would turn the volume down on your TV. Whenever a lot of times you would try to save the game, and the game developers were fucking evil for this, but they would make it to where you were pressing the buttons and it would force you to delete your save. Well, at least look like you were deleting your save. But that's got to be one of the scariest things, especially
Oh my
if you're like,
god, that sounds awful.
you're like 3/4 of the way through the game, and then it's like, do you want to delete save file? You're like, no, no, no. But then you're like, oh, it forces you to delete it.
That's crazy. That I don't think there are a lot of games that actually do that. Like, kind of going off topic. There's only one other game that I know of that makes you that gives you the option to delete your entire save file, and that's Nier, like the original Nier.
Yeah.
I hate to bring this up because I
Well,
know
it
we
doesn't
have
force
I know
you
we
to
have I know we
delete
have resident Toby Fox stand, but Undertale does that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, let's
Does
go.
it?
No,
Yeah,
Undertale
you-
does have a
Also a
lot of
game
horror
I hate bringing up. Doki Doki Literature Club does that.
Oh, let's
Oh my
go.
god.
Well, I think regardless of opinions on like either of those games. I do think we can at least acknowledge like the reasons they did become popular is because of what they did well. Well, maybe not so much
Yeah.
Undertale. Undertale is genuinely great,
Ooh,
but like
okay.
opinions
I
on Doki
just
Doki though, I think it did at least do something good to mix up the genre.
this is completely off topic from all of that. I just remembered a horror game that I played earlier this year, which was like a surprisingly fun game, and it is horrifying for one of my favorite reasons. And it's a dumb game when you like first hear about it, but it's so good. And unfortunately, it's because it's all lore. But Amanda the Adventurer.
Garden of
Oh,
Amanda the Adventure,
yeah, I saw
Oh,
that
Okay,
one.
I've heard of
So,
that.
it's
Yeah,
a
that one was
game
actually pretty
where basically you're in an attic of your dead aunt, and she's telling you about this children's show, which got shut down because I forget why it got shut down. But
Kids were disappearing and stuff.
yeah, and so you start watching the show to like figure out the truth, because she kind of gives you like hints about, like, she's like, don't watch these tapes, they're not good. But you start watching them, and it's very, very quickly, this show is weird. The characters in the show start talking to you specifically, but not like Dora the Explorer, where it's a rhetorical question where they have a predetermined answer. They expect a response, and it is unnerving in the way where it completely subverts the expectations of a children's TV show, where a lot of children's TV shows would do that, where they'd like ask you a question, but then they'd go off and answer it on their own because they're not actually listening. But
Well, funny thing with the answer in that too is, with like those Dora like cartoons and stuff, you would like sometimes yell out the wrong answer because you're like, "Fuck you, Dora." If you do that for Amanda
Yes.
the Adventurer, she will go ape shit on you
yeah,
if you keep trying it.
she knows your answers. Different answers get different results, and what's insane about that game is a lot of the game takes place outside of watching the shows, and so you start piecing together the story of what's going on. And there's this one part where you're on a farm, and she's like, "Oh,
Don't you want to help this poor little
don't you want to help
kitten?"
this poor sheep or chicken find its dad or family?" And then you can say yes or no, or you can enter in her dad's name, and she goes insane because, surprise, surprise, it's an analog horror trapped in a TV show. Whoa, children trapped in a TV show. We've never heard that before. But
Whoa.
I had to spoil it just
Spy
because.
Kids.
Yes, basically. But she goes insane because she like basically forgot, and is like goes like she gets angry at you because you know something that you're not supposed to. And it's insane, and it's unnerving, and it's one of the best moments in horror games from this year. I can't say of all time because it's unnerving, but it's kind of standard but it's a great moment.
It's standard, but I think it's like,
But there are
what's the best way to put it?
really good moments in that show or that game where it's a subversion of expectations, where they give you an option and you expect to only have a select number of options, but then there's an extra one which you don't expect, and then you put it in, and it gives you a different scenario, and it's an insanely good aspect of that game, and that's why I think it's a good game.
Yeah, I think, while it is a little tropey, like it's following a lot of the same trends and stuff, it had a really solid execution though.
No, I will admit a lot of the like the lore, because we haven't even talked about horror game lore, because that's like a
Oh
big
God,
thing
don't
right
get
now.
into that, please.
I won't.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
we're gonna
won't.
save
I
that.
won't.
We're gonna save that for the
No,
funny
Shut up,
lore.
Connor.
furry.
Connor, shut up.
The funny
Shut up.
furry. You've
We're
already
we'll,
mentioned the funny
well,
furry game this
okay. We can
episode, so I don't
we
want to
can
hear
just chill. We can talk about it next time. But what I want to say is the backstory for the game. I love, and this is really weird. A lot of horror games do this. The tie-in to Christian lore. As funny as it is to call it lore, Christian like lore and Christian
Getting
like
into Bible lore.
ideologies. Yes, a lot of games and stuff use like demons or like the occult but like they tie it into Christian views and like ideologies because it's a subversion of like Christianity being this like great thing, and then they're like, oh, there's all this evil around it because, and with every religion there's evil and there's good, and so they use the occult or the supernatural, but in a way where it's like, oh, this is also in the real world. Now I'm scared to go to sleep at night because I feel like it could happen to me too.
Yeah, that's religious imagery and symbolism is a common thing in any horror thing. Well, like not any, but like most. Like a bunch of analog horror loves religious symbolism. Um, like I'm pretty sure a bunch of like Silent Hill stuff has a good bit of religious symbolism in there somewhere, and I feel like the reason why is because it's a lot of those locations take place in America, where Christianity is a very big part of
Yeah,
America.
it's probably the most prominent
so
religion in the USA.
Yeah, and so
It is.
a lot of people have grown up with that, especially in the Americas, and so that sort of perversion or twisting of something you've grown up with, something you're super familiar with most of the time. It's a lot like why mascot horror was pretty good for a while, because it would take the sort of like child like nostalgia and make it scary. I think
That's
that is why.
I do kind of want to say one thing with mascot horror. This is kind of just a personal story, but dude, whenever I went to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, dude, I hated those animatronics.
no one like literally everything makes fun of them. Like
They're terrible.
the reason that the movie Chucky was so popular was because it was a perversion of children, like those like uncanny valley children's dolls, and like that's the
Yeah,
same with mascot horror, like that type of genre. It's what was great about it first off was the like subversion of like these things made for children that like you never really looked too much into, even though they were like kind of creepy, like the American Girl dolls that like always kept their eyes open, staring blankly. I found those like kind of creepy, but I didn't like think too much about it. And then like these movies, these video games, these like this media takes this and then transforms it into like, oh, it's like your the worst thing you can think of is reality.
Well, I think, like, again, I mentioned, like, betrayal of expectations is a really good way to scare a player. So you keep seeing more and more people, like, do that by, like, breaking genre. Like, we mentioned Doki Doki Literature Club. On the surface, it's a cute little visual novel. Oh, senpai, you're so cute, please date me. And then the character starts glitching out and trying to stab themselves.
Oh,
That game reminds me of that one episode of Gravity Falls where Seuss gets he
Yeah,
buys
literally.
yes,
the dating
that's
sim game.
the dating sim
yeah,
game.
that's
You know what's
so
even
funny.
crazier? It ends in the Chuck E. Cheese ripoff place with the animatronics and then the TS.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? You know what's really funny? The real shit. We'll probably mention this later on, but that episode came out before the first FNAF game did.
Yeah,
That's
it did,
funny.
and that's such a goated show, by the way. Just like
It's so
Gravity
good.
Falls is amazing. It to sort of like go off of that again. There's this episode of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where they literally just have like an evil like kid animatronic, and the whole episode is this evil animatronic like taking control of like animatronics and making them evil, and the way they stop the like evil like animatronics at the end is by singing a song, but the song is so terrible that they all just kill themselves, and I'm not even joking, it's so funny. Like
What
no
the
joke, they
fuck?
They
they
kill
literally just
themselves.
all no, I'm not joking. They literally all just like kill themselves, and it's fucking hilarious.
that is
Oh
amazing.
my god.
POV, you listen to the NYC Crackheads mixtape. It was not good.
POV me listening to Drake.
Yeah, I'm currently still
Listening to
watching
5
the show,
seconds of
but
Cardi B.
Okay, now
yeah, we need to get back on top of it.
we're gonna segue, and this is actually a great segue of these like seemingly like innocent things that like go into horror like randomly, where like a game that doesn't have a lot of horror has like this one area that's filled with horror, like children's shows where it's like, oh, why is this suddenly creepy as hell? Like, what's going on? Or like, games that may not be the horror genre that just have like these terrifying places, like Ocarina of Time and that damn well.
Dude, I'm playing through it
Ooh.
right now. Shadow Temple and the Well are just like such creepy areas, I swear. Especially like the enemies you fight. Because like one of them, it's like this little mini boss. You enter a room, there's some hands sticking out that try to grab you. And if you don't swing at them and they do grab you, this thing just emerges from the floor. It's like face all distorted and stuff with this big lumpy body. And it'll try to like bite at you while you're trying to escape from the hand.
Okay,
Zelda
so
usually has like some horror elements in it, and that's something like I kind of want to bring up with like horror adjacent stuff. But what were you gonna say, Connor?
I'm just gonna say now, this is definitely a hot take, and it might be because I was just exposed to a lot over watching a bunch of Zelda videos. I do not find the Well or Shadow Temple scary. Like,
I mean, I'm not saying
I
it's
don't
like
know.
super scary, like piss yourself.
I'm not.
Like,
I know.
No, it's more so the atmosphere and this being a.
I just
this-
don't find I don't even find the atmosphere that creepy. Like,
it's because
I'll
it's
give
a
it,
game. It's a game that is. It's a Zelda game where Link is a child.
I know that. I'm just
But-
saying there's I always see online like people being like the Shadow Temple is the scariest Zelda location, and I can never take it seriously. 'Cause
I mean,
it's
those are just like
not.
random YouTube comments. I think just like it's an area that like compared to the rest of it had a different impact. It didn't scare you like the Water Temple did by being bad. It just had a good creepy atmosphere.
Ooh.
The enemies like the hands grabbing at you, the Gibdos that would hump you, kinda, if that's one way to put it. In the well, whenever you would
fucking-
accidentally fall down from the illusions, you would like fall to like a pile of bones and to like this acid pit. It's like just kind of creepy themes. Or like in Majora's Mask, whenever Link puts on the damn mask, he it sounds like he wants to die because like his
Yeah,
face
It's
is
like he's
morphing.
suffering. Yeah.
Exactly. That's I think Majora's Mask is super like not scary, but like super unnerving, especially with
that's what a lot of this
when
horror
you
is. Just
listen to Matt Pat,
Yeah.
because we all love game theory.
But that's just a theory. Game
Another
theory.
another thing I want to talk about, in the very first Halo game, there is a mission where, with the first introduction of the Flood, and I don't know if everyone here knows what the Flood is. Does
Mario
everyone?
Sunshine.
Yeah, I was about to say Mario Sunshine.
Mario Sunshine. Holy
Okay, you
shit.
guys are all a bunch.
That's
of
actually a horror game because of how fucking
Speaking
bad
of
it
Mario,
is.
I'm just thinking. You know,
Oh
I was
yeah,
saying
Connor,
that
Connor has a
Majora's
hot take on that.
transformation. Well,
What's
I was
my-
just
what?
thinking. I was just gonna say with Mario and like Majora's Mask, we were talking about how Majora's Mask had a like creepy transformation scene. Imagine like in Mario Wonder when that comes out in a couple days or maybe 2 days, depending on when this video releases.
When this
I
video
think-
releases, it'll be out.
Yeah, but imagine whenever Mario gets the like little elephant thing, he's just riding his pain as his nose elongates. And his
Have you
bones
guys seen
stretch out.
the modding for that game? Even though it's not even out yet, it's insane.
The first one I saw was Sans.
No, that was the first one I saw too.
That's
It is
really
insane
funny.
out. All right, but what's my hot take on Mario Sunshine, guy?
You said it was bad.
It is bad. It's a bad game. It's bad.
Like,
I see
worse compared to other Mario games, or just a bad game.
Compared to 3D Mario games and most 3D platformers in general, it is a bad game, but we're not going to talk about that because this is the horror episode. But
that is
How does it
yes.
compare to
a
Balan Wonderworld?
bad game.
Okay,
Yeah,
it is
anyways,
better than Balan. It's better than Balan Wonderworld, but that is like taking a one. That is not a high bar. Like you could like step over that bar.
all right. The real horror here is the fact that we're so off topic.
That's
No.
let's
so
I have a
true.
horrifying
That's so
concept
true.
of making an elitist like guy, tying him down to a chair, and he can't leave until he has to finish Balan Wonderworld.
I'd kill myself.
That's my form of torture.
No, you'd have to 100% it.
But yeah, I think we
Oh,
can go back to
no.
like the concepts and horror games, like we were mentioning with Ocarina of Time. Another like creepy thing that isn't like a dungeon is like what happens during the time skip, because in Ocarina of Time you initially started as a kid, right? And there's this one area you can run into. It's like near the castle. It's just this little market area. People are dancing around and happy. There's happy music playing in the background.
Oh yeah, the Hyrule Town Marketplace.
Yeah,
Yes.
but once you travel into the future, you go back there. Everything is like burnt down to the ground. The music is really dreary. The sky is sad, and all the people are replaced by like those creepy Gibdo enemies that I mentioned.
They're not Gibdos. They're fuck. Hold on, I'll look them up. But they're not Gibdos. I know that.
Or they're
Okay, nerd
whatever
emoji.
creep,
it's
whatever
kind of the
creepy
entire
enemies,
the
whatever
entire
it is.
Zelda
They try to grab
series.
you and hump you, and that's kind of scary.
The entire Zelda series is just kind of like when you like look like even a tiny bit beneath the surface. It's like really sad and like depressing and like kind of horrifying. Like what happens to these people. Like in Twilight Princess, my favorite Zelda game. There's these things called Pose, which are like a bunch of
Oh, the
souls.
ghosts.
They're also in Tears of the
Ocarina of
Kingdom.
Time, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Tears of the Kingdom too, to like make it relevant.
Yeah,
But
so they're pretty relevant at like just thing in the Zelda games.
yes, but those are souls of people who have died. It is not just like a random thing that's just there. That is people who have perished, and like
That's what they're called. That's what they're called.
and
Was that right,
and-
Connor?
No, they're called Redeads.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's lame.
Oh
But, like-
yeah, they are Redeads. Yeah.
Where did the Gibdo
Okay, yeah,
name
I
come
remember
from?
But, like,
then?
in-
Gibdos are the mummy-looking dudes.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
from the
okay.
desert. Yeah,
No,
they're
no,
from
I'm
Gerudo.
not talking about Tears of the Kingdom. I'm talking about because they did originate in Ocarina. Well, maybe not
No, yeah,
originate.
the Gibdos in Ocarina of Time look like mummies.
Yeah, but they were just in earlier Zelda games before Tears of the Kingdom. Is what I was trying to
Yeah,
say.
Wait, there are Zelda games before Tears of the Kingdom? I've never heard of this before.
See, this is guy sounds like he's being sarcastic, but he's actually telling the truth.
You know, I think he may have the disease. We may need to send him out with the Smash players because he's saying some pretty scary things here.
He's also smelling. He's smelling more. Guy, are you sure one of those Smash players didn't like bite you and give you rabies?
Okay, I want you to open your backpack slowly and show us you have at least one stick of deodorant in there.
Hold him down. Hold him down. I'm gonna grab the backpack. I'm holding him down.
All right, while you hold him down, how about we get into some other just interesting stuff with horror
Yeah,
games?
Liam
think-
Brewer's gonna hold guy down. You talk about horror stuff. I'll look for the deodorant.
all right, I'm gonna talk about.
Hold on, I have a point. I have a point.
I'll hold him down while he speaks.
I think that this is something that a lot of horror games have the challenge of that we haven't talked about yet. That they need to be engaging and they need to reward the player in their own way, if that makes sense.
I think what you mean is like
It
they need to
doesn't
give
make
you a
sense,
goal
guy.
to work
You're an
towards.
idiot. You're stupid. You have no place on this earth. Die. Anyways, yeah, that's a great point.
What? Yeah, because like, okay, like let's give like a good example,
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
horror game.
Yomawari.
Resident
Let me
Evil.
go back to that one. Oh,
God damn it.
okay, that works too. No, I'll go first.
In
You
Resident-
go after. But yeah, Yomawari usually like first game you're looking for your dog. Second game you're looking for your friend that disappeared. not like the most intriguing goals, but it gives you something to work towards because it also gives you breadcrumbs that are like, oh, I think I see them. Maybe I'll find them. So that type of deal, a goal to work towards to incentivize you.
Yeah. Like this is something that's really well done in Resident Evil 4. Is that like you're given a very simple mission of, hey, you're playing as Leon Kennedy, get the president's daughter and get out of there. So not only do you get the simple premise, but throughout the game you're given more enemies to fight and you're given more weapons to deal with them. So the constant gameplay loop is that the game is constantly getting harder and more challenging, but you're given more tools to deal with that, and it keeps your engagement up. Not just that, but the story like is always changing and like going in different directions. But that's a lot different because Resident Evil is very much an action game, and a game like Outlast is a great game by the way. But the thing is that like something very, very difficult that games of that nature have to deal with is that they have to keep up the engagement and keep the player wanting more. And that's something that a lot of horror games struggle with nowadays because they don't give that much of a thrill and they don't give you a reason to keep moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Big
can
one,
understand.
big one. Poppy Playtime. That game, I don't feel like playing it. Like from what I've played of it, it's just simple puzzles. The story's really not that interesting. And I'm gonna be frank, they don't do enough to like innovate on like what they've set up already. So there's no engagement of like what is there new of. You know what I mean? It's just
I
the
don't.
same jump
I just don't.
scares, just different enemies.
I just don't want to support a game that has like the NFT stuff with it involved. So
I didn't want to bring it up when he said Poppy Playtime, but they're big like no on their part. Okay, for those of you that don't know, Poppy Playtime started selling NFTs when NFTs were a big thing, which normally wouldn't be too bad. I mean, like they're just trying to make some money, which through scummy sort of methods. The reason why it was so scummy is because the NFTs had like lore secrets. So you literally
Wait,
like would
what?
need.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
there
no.
was like actual like stuff that you can't get anywhere else. There's no way to get that
Yeah.
information from NFTs, and so there was such backlash that they got rid of it. They never like the lore is still there. Some guy went on like there's a YouTube of like a guy that bought every single one of the NFTs
And
to
like
get the lore,
screenshotted them.
and then like
Yeah.
got all the information and just like
I
did
was
it for
about
the
to say,
community.
I was about to imagine like Mad Pat from Game Theory just like buying every NFT. Like, I must get all the lore. I need it
No, he
all.
was.
I
I
need it.
remember seeing. I can't remember if he did a video or if it was like a stream, but he was like, yeah, I'm not gonna like support this. I'm not buying those NFTs for lore secrets and stuff like that. Even though that's like my whole thing. I'm 99% sure he said something like he wasn't gonna support the NFTs. I'm like pretty sure that happened.
That's crazy.
Okay.
But
There is
we don't support
one other
NFTs on
thing
the
I want
Fetch
to
Quest
mention because we
podcast.
are getting
But
Yeah,
going
Unless
back
it's
to
of
like
my cock, sorry. Just had to make
going
that
back
out
to
there.
the engagement factor, it's just like that really like circles around like to what I was saying in the beginning of the episode is that like, or like what we were saying in general is just like engagement is built off atmosphere and gameplay, and there's just like a big synergy that has to happen. But with that engagement, you need the player to keep playing, because a movie, like with a movie, you watch characters go through something. It's not something that you're really actively trying to. It's not something that you're actively trying to
you can be
like.
passive with it.
Yeah, you can be passive with it, but like the nature of video games is that they are an active form of media, to where you have to be active with it to enjoy it. So that's why, like Burrow was saying, horror games are the best form of horror, but
Because you have to stay engaged with it.
they're also the hardest to get right.
Yeah, I big agree.
Yeah, because like even if you have like a really great section in a horror game, if you have just like one boring or like tedious section, that can make them drop the game because like the game isn't really being all that scary. So you may just drop it when you were going to find that other great thing. You need to find a way to keep the player engaged, which is why I'm loving the Yomawari game so much. And like another one I talked about, Deathmark, because as you're exploring each area for those games, you constantly feel on edge, so it keeps you engaged with the story and also just what's happening to your character at the time. You
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen because there's what if a monster spawns? What is this little thing over here? Could it be an enemy or is this just a red herring? That type of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I do want to quickly just bring up, and I'm really upset that I completely forgot about it until basically the end. Horror does not like. There are some people who think that horror has to be like the only way it's scary is if it looks realistic. That's not true at all.
That's
One
so
of
fake.
the
That is so fake.
yeah,
Well, horror takes a
one
lot
of
of
the
different
scariest horror games that I've seen is Faith, the Unholy Trinity or
Oh,
trilogy.
I know that one.
Yeah, that game is scary, and it uses like a 2D pixel art style, and it's still really scary.
There's a game, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Growing My Grandpa, and it sounds
I've
pretty.
seen that one actually.
It sounds pretty silly, but it is the most like surreal body horror game I've ever played. Super underrated, and it
Dude,
is
that one is so creepy. I know what you're talking about.
It is terrifying. It is because like the whole thing. It is this little girl who like sees these like horrors, does not care. We are like disgusted by it. She does not care at all. And that is a crazy thing where the character does not care, but we are disturbed, and it makes it that much worse.
Well, I think too, like we mentioned before, it isn't always just visuals, because like with the Ocarina of Time thing I mentioned, the market itself, it isn't exactly all that creepy. You're not gonna look at it and be like, oh my god, it's horrible. But it's more so like what happened to the people there that's horrifying. But I think like one of the most horrifying like concepts, like not visual thing, like the concept I found in the game is from the Mother series, or in the West, the Earthbound series. And this one will be a little hard to explain because it's from Mother 3, the game that hasn't been officially localized yet and probably
The game
never
doesn't
will
exist. Who the fuck is Lucas?
There is no Mother 3 in Bossing Say.
be. Lucas is a Smash
So
original character. But yeah, so I don't want to spoil too much too because I love Mother 3 and this was a really big moment in it. But there's this like character that's chasing you down for a lot of the game, right? And the character like has a really long lifespan, kind of immortal. And what happens is they force this scientist to make something called the absolutely safe capsule. And what that capsule does is once you're in it, nothing can hurt you, nothing can get to you. You can't hurt yourself because everything's padded, and it has some magic or something. I don't know how it works, but basically you can never go hungry or feel tired. But basically you are completely safe. It does what the machine is called. Like in game, once the character goes in there, you try to attack the machine, it does 0 damage no matter what you do. You can pull out your most powerful attacks, it will do nothing. But the thing that starts to make it horrifying is the fact that because it's absolutely safe, there isn't a way to get out of there, because if they could bust in, then it wouldn't be safe for you. So the basically immortal character goes into this machine to protect themselves from the player, and they are then trapped for eternity by themselves in just this completely safe capsule where they're going to be there until the end of time, basically. I think that's pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the kind of like the idea of like
they're going to be there forever. It's just terrifying because your life is essentially gone at that point, but you're still living it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do anything. You can just think.
Anything like that is always really scary to me. I was recently replaying Mortal Kombat 11's story mode, and this seems super unrelated, but in Mortal Kombat 11, there's this character named Geras. His
Oh,
whole
shit.
thing is his whole thing is that he basically can't be killed because he's like a fixed point in time. They don't really explain it well, but he just can't be killed. He'll regenerate like anything and be stronger. And so you think like a way to, and it's like he's basically unkillable. Like you can't stop him. But nearing the end of the game, one of the characters like they're sailing through this ocean, and one of the characters straps a anchor around him, and he's like, "Oh man, you really think drowning's gonna kill me? Lame." But the guy says that's really bad for you because this ocean is bottomless, so you're gonna be sinking down there forever. By L plus ratio, and the last thing you see of him is just him just looking up to the surface while he just sinks into like the abyss of this ocean. I know it's not, Mortal Kombat is anything but a horror game, but that moment's always stuck out to me as like really scary, like concept wise.
Yeah, I think just
Like the bottomless
existentialism
pit.
is like as a concept pretty scary, just because we all live like relatively short lives, so like having an infinite amount of time, but that time being just feeling like it's gonna be slowed down forever because you're just living in a constant hell. That's a pretty scary concept for people.
Yeah. Especially around Christmas time when a certain snail starts catching up to you.
No idea what
That's
you're
a
talking
reference.
about.
No
Yeah,
idea.
no-
I have no idea.
Well, actually, I think I know what you're talking about, but not a video game. Online meme.
I know, but
so.
it's still funny. But if anyone who gets that reference, you get 15 brownie points. I think that's
guess I
gonna
get
be
some
the
brownie
end.
points.
I think that's gonna be
it's
the
a good stopping
end.
point for us.
Yeah, I think the Smash players have finally gone away.
Yeah, I can no longer smell the Smash players. I found deodorant in Guy's bag, so he's good.
Guys,
Thank
I
God.
have some information to tell you.
I got some
What?
Febreze so we can spray down the door.
They
Guys,
took
Liam
my
has something to say.
deodorant.
What is it, Liam?
They took my deodorant. I'm now deodorantless. I can already feel myself.
Liam, don't worry. I got 2 extra sticks.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, I'm gonna go open this window. I'm sure there's no Smash player waiting outside to grab me. All right.
Liam, hold on.
What's up?
Before you do that, we need to make sure everyone, we gotta give the outro, because if this is our last moments before you open that window, a bunch of Smash players rapidly
No,
attack
look,
us.
there's not gonna be any Smash players. Yeah, we'll record the outro, but I doubt there will be any Smash players. All right.
Liam, you okay?
You okay, bro?
I don't
What's
know what
going on?
happened.
Thank
I
you.
don't know what's happening to me. No, I'm Min.
Oh god, not the Min players.
Guys, he's gonna...
He smells like ramen.
No, I don't
Liam.
smell like ramen. No,
We're gonna have
Liam,
to kill Liam.
Liam, your favorite character is hype. Remember that. Your favorite character is hype. You do not
my
play
favorite
Min Min.
character. You mean Min? Min is my favorite character now. I
Guys,
love
Liam,
Min.
It's too
Liam,
late.
Before you
have to kill him.
fully turn, tell us what your last point on a horror game.
I think the best horror game. Actually, I don't have a favorite horror game, but I think horror games are one of the best genres because they're the most interactive with the players, and it's one of the few games where people still love to innovate and make it terrifying in different ways. It's not like an FPS game where they don't like to innovate, they like to do the same thing over and over again. Also, I keep cutting out. I'm sorry. I think it's the Smash players.
It's
They're
okay, Liam. We love you. We're gonna
Yes.
miss you.
It's okay, Liam.
I
Liam,
guess
wait,
Good
guys.
point.
I guess I'm going
Guys.
to become. I guess I'm going to become the horror.
Guys,
now.
I think I have a way to
I've
save
become what
Liam.
I've sought to destroy. I'm going to
It's
become
too
a
late
min
for him.
player. Well,
I'm bringing out the
Liam.
sword, guys. You ready?
Wait, no, hold on.
I'm sorry, Liam. I'm sorry.
it's all right. I know you have to do this.
Hey, wait, let me get the camera out.
Liam.
I love
Guys,
you all.
I
Yes,
killed
Connor.
Liam.
Dang it, guy, I wanted
I'm
to get
on
that
the
on
floor,
camera.
dying.
That would have been an
Connor,
awesome
man,
like
that's
to be
crazy.
short.
I feel like I could have saved him too. I was gonna tell him that Lady Demetrius was gonna give him a free copy of Resident Evil of every.
I'm sorry.
Resident
Did you
Evil
say
game.
Lady Domitrescu?
Yeah,
I
she
think
was
I've
gonna
been.
give you.
I've been
Alright, you revived him
revived.
just by mentioning her, so
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
good
okay.
now.
I
9
told
foot
you guys
tall
I could
vampire
save him,
woman
and
that
now
could peg
he's no
me.
longer a Smash player.
Yes. Now I
could've
just want to
saved
be
him.
pegged by a 9 foot tall vampire woman.
Exactly.
Okay,
Liam's horniness
well,
saved him.
Let's move on from that. I think my final point is, I think horror games are at their best when they betray your expectations. Just a quick point for me there.
Yeah. I'm gonna go off, not on a tangent. I'm just gonna tie up all the loose ends. Hello
Go
Neighbor
tangent,
is
guys.
bad. Hello Neighbor is bad. Analog horror is really good if you watch the right ones. Mario Sunshine is really bad, and I know that's a hot take, but it is really bad. I hate it. Yeah, I think that was about it. I think that was all my points of the episode. Oh, and watch Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's really good.
Alrighty, well, guy, I think the air's starting to get fresh. I have some Febreze just in case. Do you want to close us out and walk us out of this house?
We got it, Brewer. You need to lead the
think-
front lines because Febreze is basically a flamethrower to Smash players.
It's fine. It's
Listen,
fine.
I'm
They'll
going.
buff.
Alright,
I think I know
but
how we stop
yeah.
the Smash players.
My
Woman.
final point. True. My final point with horror games is that I feel like personally they are kind of dog shit nowadays because they've just kind of been monopolized in a sense, and I feel like there's so much you can do with a horror game, and of course we've seen that before. Of course with like your Silent Hills, your Outlast, your Resident Evils, etc. But I feel like there's still room to grow with the horror
Indie
genre.
games.
But that's my take on
Indie
it. But
games.
for now,
Yeah, I'm
But
with
for-
Liam on this one.
Indie horror games
I think-
literally have like there's no contest. I didn't even get to talk about the Chilla art games. Peak horror. Peak horror.
Yomawari isn't indie. It's not like a AAA company. It's like maybe 2As. I don't know. But that one is peak horror, so I don't want to
Yeah.
even shit from you.
So I think I agree with both. I think like AAA modern horror can be pretty bad nowadays, but if you think that way, there are a lot of really good indie horror games. Faith, I can't pronounce the one Brewer was mentioning, but that one.
Well, again, that's not. I was saying that's not indie.
Well, yeah, but sorry. Like, there's a lot of like smaller horror games. Like, as I mentioned before, Faith. I didn't even get to talk about MyHouse.wad, which is a really like sort of.
That's more
it's like horror
trippy.
adjacent.
That's like trippy. Lot less horror, a lot more trippy.
Well,
Yeah, a
I
lot
think
more like
again
yeah.
with Triple A, I think the problem they have some good games. Like they had the Dead Space remake, but that's the thing, it's a remake. They keep like rehashing old ideas, whereas like with the
It's
smaller
also
indie
just
games, it's like
not that
more
terrifying.
new and original ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
They
But
don't.
I think
They don't innovate. Like Guy
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, I think I think that that's all. The Smash players are finally gone. They finally got all of their anger out by smelling each other, I guess.
I can
don't
I
know.
can
That's
smell the air
joke.
now. It smells
That's
like
the joke.
Yeah. All
happiness.
right, Guy, you want to close us out and get us out of this place?
I will. So remember, guys, smash that like button, like how we're going to smash the brains of those Smash player zombies because they forgot to put on their deodorant.
Yes, we are going. You mean to make sure to like putting deodorant on, and then
Yeah.
comment your favorite horror game down in the comment section.
Comment what made you piss your pants.
Yeah, comment your favorite way to piss your pants.
But besides that, guys, thank you for sticking with us. We'll see you till another day. But with that being said, we've been your co-host, fetch quest out.